Um, my name's Ron Webb. I was 19 years old when I murdered my father and his girlfriend in our home. I grew up in an abusive relationship with my father when he was married with my mother, and I carried on those traits as a young teenager. I realized at that time I didn't understand how to resolve conflict, communicate with my father, so I used the next best thing, which was violence, physically, abusively, verbally. Whatever worked for me. I served 26 years in prison. During my time in prison, started off rough. I still carried those same behavioral traits into prison. As Mario explained a little bit, in that environment, it's rough, especially as a young teenager. You have to prove yourself, or at least I thought I had to prove myself. Once I hit a point in my life where I reflected on my violent behavior, abusiveness towards others, and that I never wanted to be treated like that in the first place. I began to reflect why I treated other people that way, and that was my turning point to change the way that I treated others. I realized that I couldn't respect others if I didn't respect myself. So I maintained positive relationship with my family and friends throughout my incarceration, which was huge, for my success as I went through 26 years. I educated myself, through college while I was incarcerated. I involved myself in programs. I stayed active in sports, keep my mind sharp, my body, intact. And it was, through the education with self-reflection that allowed me to change the way that I used to think and the way that I treated people. Like I ran into Mario, at JCS, and we were involved in a positive program that helped change the way that we think, morally, ethically. It allowed us to look at how we viewed our community, how we viewed our family and our fellow prisoners around us. And that was extremely huge. I was denied parole twice. It was something hard to swallow. I started with 12-month continuance and then a 24-month right behind that. Even though I had changed the way that I thought and behaved, and my behavior improved and my outlook on life improved, I still struggled with who was to blame for my crime. That part of it, I still struggled with taking full responsibility. I still wanted to blame my father for my choice to murder him and his girlfriend. And it was after the 24-month continuance that I realized, you know what, you are responsible. Take responsibility for your actions. I did, and I felt a great relief, off my shoulders. And I eventually earned my parole. Roughly 9 months ago, I came home from prison. And during my reintegration back out here, you face challenges. Being gone 26 years, a lot of things have changed. One of the things is my family changed. I thought that being with them all those years in prison, that coming home, it would be just like it was before, and through visits, well, they changed. I changed. I was more assertive now. I was able to communicate with my family how I felt, what I was thinking, and that was a challenge for them to accept. And it was a challenge for me to be, assertive and respectful and express that to them. But during that time, we've both come to a common ground and respect for one another. They're proud of me. I'm proud to have them. They continue to help in my success as I move forward today. Employment was something that I feared would be hard for me to obtain when I came home. And I was passionate about working. I wanted to provide for myself. I tried to be as independent as possible while I was incarcerated, and I worked to gain that independency today. I do need help today as I, process out here, and I'm able to accept help today and ask for help. When I was a teenager, I could never ask for help. I struggled. I stuffed my feelings. I didn't know how to process those thoughts and feelings and ask people for help. Today, I can cry in front of all of you and ask for help, and that's extremely healthy for me. I don't have to resort to violence today. I understand that conflict, starts within, and no one can make me feel or act a certain way. Those understandings that I gained through programming and self-reflection were huge. Coming home and working and dealing with negative people and positive people, and how I chose to react to someone who's having road rage down the street, and driving next to me. It's easy for me to accept these things today, whereas years ago I would have just reacted. I wouldn't have thought about what was going on and how I was going to react. So, I'm employed now with Luck, and it's, like I said, we were all incarcerated, moving towards positivity and helping other men change the way that they thought, because it's really our thinking that allows us to act the way that we do. So it's a blessing to be working with these men and help other men that want help, have the resources available to provide to these men when they come out of prison, with housing, transportation, jobs. These are things that make a man feel his self-worth and his self-pride. It's an honor for me to be able to, I've walked in their shoes, so I know what they need. I know what their struggles are, and have the resources to provide these for them. I don't have to hold your hand. I can just offer you the resources. And you see the results from men that are going to work. They're starting to pay their bills, and they're saving their money for housing, transportation, because they don't want to resort to the way that they used to think and behave and live on the streets. They want to move on from that. They want to live a positive, productive lifestyle. And that's important for me to be a part of that. I tore my community up, and I remember reading the newspaper articles when I murdered my father and his girlfriend. I came from a small community, and it was horrifying to know that I terrorized so many people like that with my actions. Even though they weren't physically harmed, I didn't realize the ripple effect that my actions had. That was huge. So each and every day I try to get back to my community, no matter if it's the one that I destroyed or the one that I live in today or the one that I work in. It's important for me to give back however I can. So I believe that it's important for other men to be given a second chance, whether they've served 10 years or 40 years, because everyone has the ability to want to do good, and they have the ability to be able to do good. I think that we need to reach them inside prison before they are released and help them with their transformation if they're struggling, and as they come out here, be able to provide them the assistance that they need. A safe environment, not a halfway house that's drug infested and crazy.
Yep.
That reminds them of prison.
Mm-hmm.
No, when we were in there and we were in a positive environment, a therapeutic community, that's what we talked about when we came out. If we were able to come out and we didn't have a home to go to, but we had a positive therapeutic environment to go to that we're living in prison, what would our transformation be like?
Mm-hmm.
The chances are it would be more successful and positive.
Yep.
Well, that's something that we work towards today to provide for these men, that are clients of Luck Incorporated, is that environment, because it's crucial to your reintegration into society, to be that positive, productive member. If you're how does that go? You're a product of your environment. So, men that want to change and they want that success and they want the help, I'm glad that we're able to offer and provide that for them. So, I know that every man has good in him. It's what he chooses to do with his life and what he wants. But keeping a man incarcerated for the rest of his life because he stole a pack of gum or he murdered 2 or 3 people, it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I was in prison with a lot of these men, and there's a lot of good men in there that have changed their lives and deserve a second chance. They deserve to walk in my shoes today and be able to drive down the street and help other people and work and pay taxes and give back. I mean, and I'm waiting for them to come home to be able to help them.